Herzlich willkommen zu 24 Tage, 24 Menschen, 24 Geschichten, dem Podcast Adventskalender des österreichischen Gewerbevereins und 2x2.
Herzlich willkommen zur 7. Folge von 24 Tage, 24 Menschen, 24 Geschichten. Mein Name ist Sascha Lodurner und wir starten jetzt gemeinsam in diesen Tag. Heute ist Mittwoch, der 7. Dezember und wir begrüßen in der heutigen Folge einen Gast aus dem hohen Norden bei uns, aus Schweden genau genommen und ganz genau genommen aus der Hauptstadt Stockholm. Brit Stakston, unser heutiger Gast, ist nicht nur Mediastrategin und Autorin, sondern war 2015 auch Mitbegründerin der investigativen Journalismus-Plattform Blankspot und gilt darüber hinaus als eine der etabliertesten Digitalexpertinnen Schwedens. Und die von ihr mitbegründete Plattform Blankspot hat eine ganz besondere Initiative in die Welt gesetzt, die zwischenzeitlich auch für weltweites mediales Interesse sorgt. Denn mit ihrem alternativen Sammelalbum zur Fußball-WM mit dem Namen Cards of Qatar sammelt man nicht etwa Fußballstars wie Ronaldo, Messi oder Mbappé, sondern die Geschichten von 70 ausgewählten Arbeitsmigranten, welche im Vorfeld der Fußball-WM auf Baustellen der Stadien den Tod fanden. Hören Sie dieser spannenden und klugen Frau zu, die weder belehrend noch mit dem erhobenen Zeigefinger daherkommt, sondern die einfach nur daran glaubt, dass Veränderung möglich ist und auch passieren wird, weil sie überzeugt davon ist, dass sich am Ende immer das Gute durchsetzen wird. Das Interview führen wir übrigens auf Englisch und nun wünschen wir Ihnen viel Spaß beim Anhören. A very warm welcome to Brit Stakston. Thank you for taking the time to join us in our podcast show.
Oh, thank you for having me. That's just wonderful. And Austria is in a special place in my heart. I'm actually born in Graz. My mother was Austrian, and I've spent many years in Austria. And I will also come the 8th of December to have make some visits to the Weihnachtsmarkt.
Very nice to hear. However, we are talking in English because you said your German is good enough to understand everything, but not good enough for an interview like this. No problem. Well, Brit, you are the co-founder of Blankspot, which is an investigative journalism platform in Sweden that you started in 2015 together with your colleague Martin Skibie. I hope I spelled it right. What was your motivation? What has driven you to start this platform?
Well, Martin is an investigative journalist that was in prison in Ethiopia for 438 days and convicted to terrorism for 14 years for a reportage that he wanted to make about the Ogaden region. After 438 days in an Ethiopian prison, he came back to a new media landscape. And I was at that time the PR consultant who helped him and his family to arrange the press conference when he and his colleague, Johan Persson, the photographer, came home. And that was actually our first working day. And what a long working day. But somehow we then ended up working closer together when he, a year later, released a book about these 438 days. And I am a media strategist and a communication consultant. And I've also had a big interest in democracy issues and also what digitization can do for democracy movements. That's my speciality. So I really saw but also through the close working relation that we had when he did the book and the tour around the book, and I heard him talk about journalism, and I saw the huge interest amongst everybody. And at the same time, you have this big discussion on the role of media and also the populist movements that really attack media, which was something that I also had studied. And then I thought, so there were two factors that led to us that we started Blankspot. For Martin, it was the fact that the finances for journalism at that time, for 7 years ago, was really on downhill, and especially for foreign reporting. So we then thought of, what about launching a site or our idea of a site that is focused on different conflicts around the world, and maybe not in the sharpest news feed, but before and after conflicts. So that was his focus, to find a platform where he could continue to do his work. And I saw the aspect of, let's bring the readers along with us. This is now common sense for most journalists, that they want to have a close dialogue with their readers. But for 7 years ago, that was still something that journalists really were not that keen on. That's sort of an extra aspect of being a journalist that maybe is not why you became journalist once upon a time. But we wanted to try our idea of a new media platform, and we managed to go from an idea to the reality, where we broke a Nordic record of crowdfunding, where 2,300 people gathered enough money for us to then 1 year or half a year later launch the website that still is the hub. So Blankspot is still up and running, and last week we got the Grand Journalistic Prize in Sweden. That's the Swedish Pulitzer. We won that for the reportage series that we will be talking about now.
Congratulations for that, Brit. Yes, and now you brought up the topic we talk about today. We talk about the World Cup, which is running now in Qatar, or better, the things that happened in the years since the World Cup was given from FIFA to the country of Qatar. But before we start, one quick question. Do you like football? And have you seen a match from the World Cup by now?
Yes, I have. I like football a lot, and Bayern München is one of the teams that I vote for, but also Rapid now and then. So yes, I like football, and yes, I have watched the World Cup now. And even some of the ancestors to or the families to one of the migrant workers that we interviewed in our reportage series really emphasized that they also want us to watch the World Cup and be enthusiastic of the fantastic work that they have done for this to be able to be presented in the way it does, by beautiful floors in hotel buildings or in the stadiums. So
for this matter, you and your team, you developed an alternative sticker album for this tournament. We all know these albums where we can collect pictures of Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo or Kylian Mbappé. But instead of collecting football stars, we can collect people like Binod Kumar Shah from Nepal, Bayavula Devarasham from India, or Mohammad Shahid Mia from Bangladesh. So please tell us what these people are all about.
Well, what we wanted to do is, it's been a lot of discussion about the statistics from the official statements from Qatar, from 3 to the 6,500 that Guardian wrote about, that has been some sort of a figure that constantly gets repeated. We wanted to go beyond the statistics and show the people behind the statistics. So, and I must point out that I have nothing to do with the journalism. The editor-in-chief, Martin Shibi, is the one who has been collecting these stories together with a team of journalists in Bangladesh, Nepal, and India. And then he also traveled to Nepal and met the families. And so what we have done then is that we've collected, I think it's now 70 stories of migrant workers that have been a part of the building of Qatar. When we talk about the World Cup, there is also a factor that you need to build roads, you need to build the hotels, the total infrastructure of the country. So these are people that all have died while working as migrant workers in Qatar. And for us, it was a huge step in our work when Martin Shibi went to Nepal and had some of our football cards with us, because you meet, as you said, the migrant workers on these cards. So instead of the football stars, you meet these people that have played a big role in the building of a country like Qatar. And then we for a moment felt, what about if the families think that this is a way, that this is not a respectful way of showing their life. So it was important to check this with them. And they really liked it a lot. It was very valuable for them to know that somebody wanted to know more about their stories. So that was a huge step for us, that they signed this off and thought that this was a wonderful way of highlighting the stories. And also a lot of questions still needs to be answered. What really happened to them? And that's what you see when you read the story, because on the back of the card, you find a short story. And then on the site, cardsofqatar.com, you will find a longer story for each of the cards, and also the reportages that Martin did in Nepal. And you will find them in English, so it's easy if you understand English, or just use Google Translate.
You just mentioned it. The official number of people killed on the construction sites is 3. As we are talking, I just got a news update that the General Secretary of the Organization Committee, Hassan Al-Dawadi, told in an interview maybe it might be 400 to 500 people killed in the construction sites. But still, we know it's an outright and also very brazen lie. But what can we as a society say in response? What shall we do concretely?
I think for us, we do journalism. We want to show, when you read the long 3 reportages that we have on our site, it also shows the complex issue of poorness in the world, that you need to understand what is push and pull in the migrant issue. So it is a very complex question, and what we can do and hope is that the rights for migrant workers constantly will be improved. You still will find today people that are queuing in Nepal to go to Qatar to work, even people that their fathers or brothers have died as migrant workers, because they need the possibility to work. And in some cases, there are some good stories of people returning after 8 years, being able to buy a hotel themselves. So it's resources that are taking them out of their poverty. So this is a very complex issue. And that's why we do believe that this catalog of football cards, that instead of these facts of players, show the real workers and not just the statistics, is a very strong way of carrying the message and let their stories be heard. And the wonderful thing with Cards of Qatar is that we do journalism, we don't do activism, but our stories can be used for people that have worked with the rights for migrant workers for a long time, or for people that work with human rights issues in different ways. And this has been so wonderful to see. And these people have come to life by how people are talking about them, just as you did when you asked me about the cards just now. So tell their stories. And maybe as consumer, think of where we travel in the world and how the rights for workers are. a lot of people travel to Dubai without thinking of the situation for migrant workers. So we want to raise an awareness of the situation and also the position that migrant workers have in the world economy.
What do you think personally? You think that FIFA will change in the long run and that in the future we will see sporting events like the World Cup or Olympic Games, all that stuff, in countries where human rights are respected and neither migrants nor queer people are persecuted? The next World Cup we know will take place in Mexico, the United States and Canada. But what comes after that? Will things change? Or will we have to adjust the fact that major sporting events will generally only take place in autocracies or even dictatorships because it's easier to do it there?
No, I am very hopeful that what we see are a lot of movements for change. We see right now what goes on in Iran. We see what goes on in Shanghai. We have a lot of other digital movements in our backhead that we see have changed. Just also in Vienna during the Black Lives Matter movement and during the pandemic, as far as I know, that was the largest demonstration you have had in Vienna since in the beginning of the 90s. And this is what happens now also within football. There is this spark of engagement, and football is I guess, the world's largest sport. And also football fans are engaged in society, and also football fans think about these issues. We have seen the issues of hate online, that, for example, in Great Britain has been an issue amongst something that you work against within football, and also racism. And now you come to these aspects. And it's really in the future and for every day, it's obsolete to drive business that doesn't consider human rights. It might seem idealistic, but I think we do move forwards step by step. And then there is this balance. A lot of these countries need this kind of attention also. The working rights in Qatar have changed during this period. So we need media that keep on focusing on the development and the rights of migrant workers past this World Cup as well, to not forget when the World Cup is over. That's also an aspect. And every time be very consistent when looking at how these kind of events are carried out in different countries. We can't give up. We must believe in a change. It might not always come as soon as we want, but it will step by step come to a change. That's my personal belief.
Well, then let's hope it will come that way you told us. Brit, thank you very much for this interesting and insightful conversation. I hope that now, with the World Cup still in full swing, we have been able to draw some attention to the injustices in the environment. And of course, to all our listeners, you will find all the information about where you can get the Cards of Qatar card set in the show links and our social media channels. We wish you, Brit, and your whole team a Merry Christmas and a successful New Year. And I hope I say that now right. God jul och gott nytt år.
That was excellent. And I must say one quick thing. There are so many churches, youth centers, even in Vienna, schools, exhibition places that have printed out our cards as posters. So please feel free. You can use them yourself if you want to do something before the World Cup is over. So that would also be a wonderful Christmas gift to raise awareness of this issue.
That's a wonderful idea. We will spread that out.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Und frohe Weihnachten.
Danke.